right, so we're back.
We are back with no rain.
No rain, beautiful Sunday.
Yes.
I've even got my lemon shirt on in my Sunday outfit, shorts as well, trying to get my tan up. I think, so we left off, we talked about what makes a good opening night. What do you think makes a good conductor?
Great musicianship, understanding of the score, understanding of the people, and making sure that you achieve the best possible result for the people that you have in front. And it's not about yourself, but it's about the project. So it's important that the ego does not get in the way. It's important to be helpful as a conductor, and it's important to listen to what is happening musically, and also to listen to people when they come and talk to you.
Okay. You talked about the ego. Do you think that's dangerous for conductors? Is that something that they have to be wary of?
I think ego is it's important to have personality, but ego in the sense of being egocentric, that is not going to help a project, because that's going to get in the way of the main goal. And the main goal is to serve the music, not being a servant, but serve the music, which is...
Yeah, I like that. Serve the music.
Yes, serve the music, and also, as I say, helping people flourish during a project.
That's really cool, because that ties into what we spoke about a few days ago about serving the composer's intentions.
Yeah.
Which is, it's very cool how it kind of all ties in.
There are so many aspects of it. So being loyal to the score, and having always your mind switched on about what is happening, and you always have to remember that apart from the score, you work with people, especially in the opera world, where we have such a long rehearsal time. So you spend 4 or 5 weeks with a group of singers, and it almost becomes all the time like a family.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know about you, but I always find the first day that I go into rehearsal is like the first day of school.
Yeah, it does feel like that, because you don't know anyone often, and then you come in and everyone's always on their best behavior the first few days, and then...
Well, hopefully they're always on their best behavior.
I think as the run goes on, it tends to divulge. You really start to see the true personalities after a while, especially leading up to opening night and the pressure. Personalities
is quite important to have different personalities. I like that. I really love to meet so many people and just to get to know them. And this is a part of the process that I really enjoy.
Yeah, that is true. Well, in leading off that, who are some conductors that you have idolized? Who is there any idols that you've had in the conducting world that you really appreciate what they've done? Their artistry has been really motivating for you?
Living conductors or?
Living or past?
Well, as a student, I love to listen to a lot of recordings from several people. I think one of my main idols has always been Kleiber.
Okay.
On the other hand, I've listened a lot of recordings from Toscanini, Karajan, so they're really big ones.
Yeah.
But having said that, as a student, I was lucky enough, especially when I was in London, to have the possibility to go to open rehearsals.
Okay.
So I've been watching people like Simon Rattle, Haydn, Papano, and so on. And then I've learned very quickly that what I hear in the recordings is the result of a very long work.
Okay.
So I have always enjoyed since then to try to go and listen to as many open rehearsals as possible, because what happens before the final result is the most fascinating part of the job. So how a conductor with such a great experience would talk or not to the orchestra. And I still remember, I think it was Beethoven 7, and Haydn was rehearsing the London Symphony Orchestra. And I remember he started to run a big chunk of the symphony, and he said very little things, but waited for the strings players to sort out their bowings, to make sure that that section was okay without him interfering. Because as a conductor, it's not necessary, I've learned now, as a young conductor, that it's not necessary to interfere all the time, if that makes any sense to you.
Can you expand on that more? Do you mean that the section will sometimes work out the thing on their own, in their own time? They just need time with the piece, or? No,
they just, for example, if they have bowings to sort out, they need to have the same bowings, and maybe a bow would not work particularly for that section. Then the concertmeister, they would say, okay, let's use this bowing and let's do this. So they would talk to the string section, because in the orchestra we have sections. So we have the violins, we have the violas, we have the cellos, and then we need to make sure that the bowings are the same and that they work for the sound that we want to achieve. So they would just stop for a second and say, can we use this bowing instead of going down? Can we go up? Can we try like this? And that would perhaps achieve a different result. And it's not always necessary for a conductor to interfere with that. So this is exactly what happened in that particular moment. And so this was heightened, and then I watched a lot of rehearsals from Simon Rattle when he was at LSO, Tony Pappano at the Royal Opera House. And they have all different personalities and different ways to talk to the orchestra, but also to let them play. And as a conductor, I think it's important to don't, even if you have your own mindset of thoughts and you have prepared your score in a certain way, it's important to listen and to make sure that the orchestra flies by itself, if that makes sense. So you cannot dictate all the time. And this is very important in the rehearsal process, that kind of approach. You need to let the bird fly. Once you have rehearsed, you need to make sure that they are able to have their own artistry as well, because you have in front musicians and each of them brings something different, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you think, how much does individualism affect an orchestra member? Is it more important to be part of the team, or is there room within that for their own expression?
I think both things are important, to be honest with you. It's important to be part of the team, important to be part of the section, important the section is uniform. And it's also important that a member has the possibility to be themselves. Okay,
I like that. It's cool. Playing in the lines a bit, but it's also trying to put your best foot forward as a unit, as a team.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. What's your opinion on baton versus no baton when conducting?
It's very personal. A conductor should be able to do what feels right for them, or this is my personal experience, for themselves and for their own body. We need to remember that a baton is the extension of our arm. And in the baton, there are all the information that are needed for the orchestra. So anything I want to communicate should arrive from the baton. For example, a detached sound, a smooth sound, a piano, a forte. Nonetheless, does not mean I cannot do it with my hands, which I've done in the past. In fact, initially I found myself personally more comfortable without baton while I was developing conducting technique. And I find the baton very useful now because the orchestra is a quite big setup. You easily have 50, 60 people in front of you, and they're quite spread out. And the baton is just very simple for people being on the sides, to something simple to look and therefore to understand your language. So through the baton, there is your own communication. Baton is also important especially in opera, I find, because there is a lot of communication between what is the stage and the pit, and coordinating those two worlds, and they have to become one. So everyone has to go together. So there is a very simple explanation for me to use the baton. Nonetheless, if there are some moments where I want to achieve a sweet sound, a dolce sound, or a certain atmosphere, the first thing comes into my mind is the aria of the Violetta in Traviata, in the third act, when she realizes she's gonna die, and at that point I would rather prefer not to use the baton, just because the atmosphere I want to create is very different.
Yeah, a lot more intimate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool. With working with 60 people in the pit, have you ever had your mind changed by a section or something in regards how you approached a piece from an opera or a section from an opera, or even a soloist come up to you and gave you some feedback about, I interpret it this way? Have you ever changed your mind over something? I would change my mind if I listen that things aren't working as I expected. There is, in my score preparation, there is a lot of imagination as well, how things would work with the orchestra, with my gesture, and I was questioning, like, is this gonna work? And then I arrived there, and most of the time they might work, but if it doesn't, I would be able to change things around. And this is the beauty of making music in the moment, where you listen to what is happening, and then not only if it's working or not, maybe because you want just to achieve different things, you can be able to change your mind. I like to respect people's thoughts, absolutely, but there is a moment where I feel I need to lead according to what my study process has been. And we talk a lot about this study process, and I just want to add one extra thing, which is there is a lot of preparation which goes on sometimes for months, weeks, before you see your singers in the opera or the orchestra. And I always found that the more you know, I think, the better musician you are. And it's a little bit like cooking. Do you like cooking? Yeah, I love cooking. My fiance makes the best Thai green curry as well. So I'm just going to plug that in. That's for you, Alana.
That's very sweet. So with the cooking, as you know, you prepare your ingredients, and you have the doses, and then you dose whatever you need, and that's the success for a recipe somehow. So you cut your onion, you cut your carrots, you start to fry them, you just find the right temperature, and then you add the other ingredients, and then you wait and you let it cook, and you let it go. And somehow music preparation is about that, in my humble opinion. It's just
and the score's the cookbook. It's the recipe book.
Absolutely. It does not mean that you cannot find a different way of doing that.
Add a bit of extra spice.
Exactly. It's a little bit like that. And then somehow from that score preparation, from that moment, then you present it to the people in front of you, and that's everything becomes more clear when you say baton or not baton. Then the baton send all those information to the people in front, and what your process has been will be communicated to them.
I really like that. That is a really good metaphor. The cookbook of a good opera. I think there is actually a book that someone wrote. I forget it. I think one of my teachers at the Conservatorium in Sydney, Simon Lobelson, brought it in once. It was the opera cookbook, and it had different recipes by all these famous opera singers throughout history and their favourite meal. So it's funny how you had the analogy of that, and there's actually a cookbook on opera out there as well.
I shouldn't believe that.
Do you have any quirky pre-concert rituals or pre-performance rituals?
I like to don't talk to too many people. I like to be by myself.
Oh, whoops! I've been annoying her the whole time.
I like to be quiet, and I always like to go through my score one more time until the very end. I like just to visualize things and go through every single page,
Yeah.
and to don't drink too much coffee.
You get too shaky. Some of those beats might be a little bit.
But yeah, no, that's more or less what I like. I try to do breathing exercises as well.
Okay.
Which I find they help me a lot. And as you know, there is always a bit of nerves before going on the podium or on the stage, and I like to make sure that my heartbeat is not too high, so really decompress, calm down, breathing. Sometimes I like to go and swim as well.
Okay.
In fact, we're very lucky here because we have the swimming pool behind the theatre.
That's great. The touching on performance anxiety, is that something that's always been with you? Have you always had that? And has it got better as the years have progressed, or have you found it's changed?
Well, I've always experienced like my heartbeat goes high, your hands get a bit sweaty. And when I was younger, yeah, sure, I did suffer much more. But then with the experience of playing the piano and the stage and how to prepare my score one more time, I'm so sorry, but this comes up all the time with me. That has made things much easier, and I've started to enjoy, especially as a conductor, the fact that things can change in the show and things can happen, and about being very active because you know what's going on and you can just change things in the moment, which I really like, because the best beautiful moments happen in real time, not only in rehearsals.
That's the beauty of a live theatre as well, isn't it?
It is.
It's all the excitement of never quite knowing what's going to happen.
Yes.
All right, to finish up with, what do you think a conductor's role is beyond the podium and beyond the rehearsal room? Do you feel that a conductor sometimes needs to be that extra ear or listen to the sections or the performers, or is there anything that goes into it that is more than just the music?
That's a very interesting question. I would say that there is a lot of understanding has to come with that role, and I don't think there are, as you work with so many people, you need to be very flexible as well, understanding and flexible. But for me, for what concerns me, and I don't know about my colleagues, most of the things happen because of my ears. So that's, and also being human. I think being human is another thing I've always appreciated in a good conductor, being human with the people that you have in front.
Cool. Oh, awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, and thanks for doing our part 2 on this beautiful sunny day.
Yes.
It's much nicer than getting rained on, which we did the other day.
Thank you so much for having me. I do see lots of clouds though.
Well, I think it's meant to roll in this afternoon, but this is us from Trentino. Awesome. Thank you.
This was nice.